All right, there we go. So I'm going to have you do that. We're going to keep in that same direction for 30 seconds. Alrighty, and now we're going to flip direction. So instead of pushing out in a wave, we're going to go in, down, and up. And I'll stay with you. I'll back up a little bit so you can see me. We're going to spend a few more seconds on this. Alright, we're going to shake it out. Now, I'm going to teach you the next position here. This is called wrist relief. And anytime I'm demoing a move or anytime there is a break, I want you to do wrist relief. So if you hear a break or a wrist relief, you're going to go to this position. Basically, we're just holding our wrists down to each other, and we're just kind of locking our hands in place, and we're having our hands to our chest. If this is too easy for you with your wrists touching those wrist bones, you can start to pull your elbows down. You'll feel it nice on that top of the wrist. So this is our wrist relief. And then we're going to move on to our next one here. So we're going to get into quadruped, and we're not really concerned about our arm right now. We're just stretching out. So I'm going to put my palms down and fingers facing forward. And I'm going to start rocking forward and back. We're going to go 5 times. After I've done forward and back, I'm going to go side to side. This one, it's really important to keep my wrists over my shoulders, otherwise I'm not going to feel that pull on the back side of my thumbs. And again, 5 times, and we're not going 5 in each direction, we're just going 5 in total. And then once we're done with our side to side, we're going to go into circles now. So I like to start counterclockwise. We can start in either direction and make sure that our whole hand is staying on the ground. Our fingers, our palms, everything is nice and flat and solid on the ground. Once we have 5 circles in one direction, we're going to switch and go the other way. 5 circles in that direction. Again, we're making sure that our hands are nice and flat on the ground. You can also experiment with this. Once you get a little bit more wrist mobility, you can make your circle huge. So for example, I can really stretch my hands and push that ankle really far forward. But if I don't have quite that much wrist mobility, I'm going to scoop my knees in, and I'm just going to go little small circles. Okay? So you just want to go where you feel a pull or a stretch, but you never want to go to the point where you feel pain or tension. So once we've got those 5 circles in the other direction, we'll give you a second to finish up. We're going to flip our hands this time. So palms down and fingers towards us. Now, this one is going to be a lot more difficult than the other one. So just make sure you're taking it nice and slow. So whoever did back rocks first, 5 total. This one is really easy to lift your palms up. So make sure that you are, really self-aware and you're making sure that, don't lift those palms up. They're going to stay on the ground the whole time. And then side to side. Should feel this one kind of on the tops of your thumbs. That stretch all the way through your top of your hand. And again, once we've got our side to side, we're going to go 5 circles in one direction. And 5 in the other. This position is going to prep us for our most intense versions of animal flow. So if you're having a hard time with some of the wrists up, or you're feeling a lot of pain while we're doing animal flow, it is definitely worth it to spend a little bit more time on this exercise, and the one I'm going to show you in a second. So switch directions once you've got 5 circles in that one way. Awesome. How are the hands feeling, Andrea? Good? Awesome. So next we're gonna flip our hands and palms are gonna go up this time. Now, it's really important that we keep the pits of the elbows out. So I'm gonna show you the difference here. If I'm just have my hands down, it's gonna feel a little bit of tension, but not as much as when I really force my arms to go out. And that is just kind of thinking, screwing your shoulders back a little bit, bringing that chest out. So we're gonna bring those pits of our elbows out, and same thing, forward and back. Now, if you're like me and your fingers lift off the ground, you might want to tuck the tips of your fingers under your knees, and that just gives you a little bit of help to make sure that you're not pulling those hands off the ground as you're rocking. This should be the smallest amount of motion that you can do in your wrist mobilization. So once we got forward and back, we're going to go side to side, and again, circles. Now, while this one feels a little bit more painful, this is one of the places that we don't spend a lot of time in animal flow. So if you're feeling a lot of pain after one of the animal flow classes or just after doing some workouts, it's definitely worth it to do this one a few times. And what you're basically practicing is that flex motion of your wrist and the other version of your wrist, okay? So just that forward and down. Once we've got the 5 circles in both directions, just want you to take a second and shake it out. Your wrists feel nice and loose, but they might also feel a little bit sore. So don't worry, we're not going to kill them too much. All right, I'm going to tilt this up just a smidge more here. All right, so we're going to stand up now, and we're going to do just a little bit of joints here. So I'm going to start with my hands on my knees, and I'm not sure if I can do this one here. But feet are shoulder width apart, and we're going to put our knees together. And we're going to push our knees forward and just do some nice circles here. Open up those hips. Once you got 5 knee circles, we're going to put our feet together, knees together and forward, and then push back, out, and around. So from the side, out, and around. Getting those backwards knee circles. That's the one I can't do. All right, next we're going to do a little bit of shoulders, so arms straight out side to side. We're going to start with one palm up and one palm down. So I'm just going to twist back and forth. I really want to relax my shoulders and keep my arms as close to parallel as possible. This is really going to reinforce the elbow movement in the shoulders rather than having it being tight in your traps. This makes it a little bit more of a joint exercise. Awesome. Now we're going to do some little circles forward. And on my feet, we're going to switch to the backward. So it's a few more forward. And backward circles. Awesome. We're going to shake it out. Since we're running a little bit low on time, we're just going to do one more joint mobilization. So we're going to get down on the ground here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both my feet right straight out in front. Now I'm going to take my left foot here, and I'm going to cross it over my right knee. Now, we've got one line from our toe all the way through our hip, and I'm going to continue that line with my left hand. So that left hand is going to follow this line, and I'm going to place it straight behind my right hip. My right arm is going to push behind my knee, and I'm going to lift behind myself, and I'm just going to push until I can really feel that extension in my hip. If your back cracks, you're doing a really great job. You're going to take 2 deep breaths here. In and out. Then we're going to push a little farther to see if you can stretch even more in that hip. And one more deep breath. In and out. All right, relax, shake it out. Now we're going to switch sides. So again, we're going to lift our right leg over our left knee. Our right hand is going to follow the line of our left hip all the way back here. Right hand, elbow goes behind right knee. We're going to push a little behind us. Feeling that stretch right here at the bottom of our hip. Deep breath in and out. And push just a little farther in and out. All right, so that's going to be be our short little warm-up here. So take a 1-minute break, and then we'll start reviewing our ABCs of Animal Club. So I'll give a little stopwatch here for our time. Do you have any questions so far, Andrea?
No, feels good.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we're going to start in about 20 seconds here. Alrighty, so we're going to get started on our 3 base positions. So we're going to start with our letter A, which is going to be A for ape. Now ape is very easy to get into. You're just going to start at a standing position, and you're just going to go down into your deep squat. So in Animal Flow, we call this ape or deep. Ape is not called a deep squat. Okay? So this is our nice, easy ape position. Should feel pretty comfortable here. If this is too low for you, what you can do for your deep ape instead is just go into a nice squat. So right about here. If you're comfortable bringing that 90 degrees, it's always preferable, but this is harder to hold. So bringing it up into a nice, easy squat is fine too. Now, our second base position is called beast. So B for beast. Now, there's a few points that we have to do when we get into beast. The first thing that we're going to make sure is that our knees are in line with our hips. So what I do is I just stand on my knees, so I make sure, all right, we've got them in line. They're not too far. We're not too skinny. Right in line. Then I'm just gonna drop my hands to the ground, and I want my shoulders above my wrists. That's the next step. Now, I'm gonna take one of my hands, and I'm gonna touch my belly button, and I'm gonna draw a line down to the floor. And so you can see my knees are not nearly to this line. So what I'm gonna have to do is bring my knees forward and then release my hands. So when you're getting set up into this position, I'll turn a little bit so you guys can see exactly where I'm at here. My knees are tucked a little bit above my hip line. My wrists are just above my shoulders, or excuse me, just under my shoulders. And I've got my knees hip width and my hands are shoulder. The last thing I'm gonna do, if you feel comfortable, right now this is 6-point crawl with my feet flexed behind me. If I decide I want to go into the full beast, I'm going to flip my feet up, put my toes in the ground, and my knees are going to go just about an inch off the ground, no more, no less. That is more advanced, so make sure that you feel really confident in this position before we flip up into beast. Now, we're going to practice a little bit of things so we can make sure our back is in line here. So we're going to push our shoulder blades into the ground and see if you can touch your scapulas together. And then you're going to extend your scaps and see how far you can press them away. And then just find that middle point. We're going to do the same thing with our bottom half of our spine here. So we're going to arch it really, really far up, arch your neck as far as you possibly can. And then we're going to tuck it all the way to the ground as far as possibly can. And we're going to find that nice straight middle point. The last point for beast is we're going to suck that belly button into our spine, so we're not having any belly full of air or anything like that. So this is our beast position. So Andrea, I'm just gonna check you real quick. Looks good. Feel comfortable? Awesome. All right. So that's our beast position. Now we're going to go into crab. So I just want you to flex so that our hips are on the ground so that we can start at a very easy position. So in crab, we have a couple of the same cues as beast. Our knees are at or above hip width. So if you have, excuse me, you have bigger legs, it might be harder for you to keep your feet at hip width, so you can bring them a little bit farther apart if you need to. Now, if you have a bigger back and you've got some muscles in there, you might also not be able to put your hands at shoulder width. For me, that's a little tight, so I like to make them a little bit wider than shoulder. Now, I'm a little bit spread out right now. It's a pretty far-reaching crab, so I'm going to bring my knees in just a smidge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test where my hips need to be in the middle by going to my heels and then to my wrists. And I'm just going to do that a few times until I feel like I found the center. Now, when you're in your crab, you should look like an F. So we have up, down, tracing that M line. Once we have our M, this is our 5-point crab. We're going to bring our chest out to the sky, pull our back out a little bit. We're going to tuck our hips back just a little bit towards our hands. And we're just going to look at the horizon. We don't want to look down. We don't want to look to the side. We're going to look up just a smidge right at the horizon. Now, if we want to advance from our 5-point crab, we're going to lift our hips off the ground just about an inch. This is definitely a more activated move, so make sure you feel confident in 5-point crab before bringing it up to full crab. All right. So those are our base positions here. Can I get a thumbs up that we're all good on our base positions? Awesome. So we're going to go to our traveling form. So normally we would do something called activations, and activations look just something like this. So for example, if I'm in beast here, I'm going to do it in the 6-point. An activation is where we just lift one limb and we hold it for a few seconds, and then we put it back down, no more than an inch off the ground, and we go through, we lift all of our limbs, we lift contralaterally, but we do that sometimes, but just not every class. So we're going to start with our beast travel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my beast, and I'm going to do all my checkpoints. Belly button, and my knees, make sure my shoulders are over my wrists. I'm going to make sure my belly's tucked in. I'm going to make sure my back's nice and flat. I'm going to make sure my feet are going to pull myself off the ground. And I'm just going to lift my right leg and my left hand. And I'm just going to put them down. When we are in beast and we're traveling in crab as well, we're also going to lift contralaterally. So we're going to lift our left leg and our right hand. And put it back down. And I want you to rest. So Andrea, I want you to use some wrist relief, and I want you to watch the beast travel for me so you can see how it's going to look. Bear with me, I'm going to try to do it, but I might be a little slow. So we're going to lift, stride, land, 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 and so on and so forth. Now, you might have noticed that when I'm striding, I'm going to do this in the 6-point so I can really analyze it. When I'm lifting and striding, my leg and my arm are moving at the same time. And it's also opposites here. So I'm going to lift, I'm going to pull it, and they're going to land at the same time. Now, when you're lifting your arms, they're going to go straight to the ground. Lift from that shoulder blade. When you're lifting your feet, if you're in 6-point, you're going to lift from this whole knee to toe. That is one motion. It's not going to move. It's one piece. If I'm in flex, when I lift, it's still in one piece, and I'm moving from my head. When I make a stride, my knee is not going to touch my wrist, but it is going to move past my hip block. Those are the basic points. Feel ready to go? Awesome. So I want you to do 5 strides forward, and then turn around and do 5 more so I can take a quick peek. Great job. Focus on that simultaneous lift, stride, land, lift, stride, land. Good. Awesome job, Andrea. So as we get more practiced into the animal flow and we do the beast crawls more, you'll feel that nice flat back, and we can start, placing medicine balls and pipes on it, and that gets kind of fun. So just know that we're starting to get that a little bit of a dip in the hips, and that's totally fine, totally normal, and we'll start to get that a little bit more, and I know I had it too. So we're gonna do, now that we've got our beast in, we're gonna do our 8 trap. So this is deep 8 version 1. So I'm gonna get into my 8 here. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my left hand and I'm gonna put it in front of my right foot. This is called a cross body. So for example, if I was going that way, put my right hand in front of my left foot. Now, if we're wondering how far apart our feet and our hand need to be, just put your other hand there. So I'm gonna put my right hand down and say, okay, that's where my left hand needs to be, right? Now, when I'm traveling, you've probably done this move before in some of the other jungle gym classes. You're gonna just put your hand down, then you're gonna put your second hand down about shoulder width away, and you're gonna just hop with your feet over to the other side. When I hop though, I'm gonna try to go really slow so you can see this. I'm making sure that I get this cross body contact again before I land. So it's cross and land. In every stride, you're going to return to your deep 8 position because you want to make sure that you can go in either direction. So if you have enough space, I want you to do 2 to the left and 2 strides to the right. Very great, Andrea. Awesome job. Fantastic. That's it for our traveling forms. We're going to do form-specific stretches in a second. So I want you to take one more 1-minute break. This is going to be a little bit more intensive than the other one, and I haven't told you this yet, but Tuesdays are usually going to be more learning the moves, practicing them, getting really good at them, and doing a little bit of flow, while Saturday is going to be really more intensive, just bang, 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 here's the moves, let's do them, let's go. Okay, so just take about 1 minute, and we're going to go through our form-specific stretches and some switches and transitions. About 30 more seconds here. All right, start making your way back. We're going to go over the next part here. So we're going to start with the most fun one, which is called the under switch. We abbreviate under switch with US. So under switch. Now, an under switch means that your leg is going to travel underneath your body to switch from facing the ground versus facing the ceiling. Now, most of the time when we perform an under switch, it's going to be from some version of beast to some version of crab. This can change based on a bunch of different things. If you're a more advanced flowist, it could be something like that you're switching to, and that's just a little bit different, but it's still just facing the ground versus facing the ceiling. So when we are going to start, we're going to start in crab. And the reason why is so we can spot where we're going to land our hands and feet. So I'm going to start my crab here, and I'm going to go towards the camera. So I am going to do a right leg under switch. So this leg is going to travel under my body. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my full crab, lift my hips off the ground, chest out, eyes to horizon. Now, I'm going to lift my left hand and my right foot. I'm going to push on the gas on this left foot here. So it's going to go lift up. Then I'm going to use that momentum to spin my body and land in beast. So again, lift opposite hand and foot, push on the gas, turn and land. That's crab to beast. So I want you to try it using your left leg under and your right leg under a few times. And then we're going to go from beast to crab, which is more difficult. So Andrea, it looks like you have a lot of momentum. I think your beast and your crab thrusts are a little wide. If you make them a little tighter, they're going to be a lot easier to control that momentum. Much better. That's great. Awesome. So once we're comfortable going from crab to beast, we're going to go the other direction. So just to show you guys again, I'm going to go the other way this time. We're going to lift my right hand to my left leg, push on the gas, land to beast. Now, I'm in beast. I'm going to lift my right leg and my left arm, bring those parts under my body, and I'm going to land in crab. Crab is harder because you can't see in beast where you're placing your hands and feet. Same thing again. I'm going to lift, go into beast, and bring it into crab. Instead of pushing on the gas from crab, we're going to land on the brake. So when I lift this foot, my right foot is going to land on the ground with the heel, and then my other foot can land nice and light and easy. That's going to help us a lot for our under switch taps. So we want to make sure that we're pushing on the gas when we go from crab to beast, and landing on the brake as we go from beast to crab. So let's do a few different ones. I want you to experiment with it. Do a right leg, a left leg, beast to crab, crab to beast. Let's try to get 10 in total, okay? So 10 under switches for me, just kind of experimenting. Awesome job, Andrea. So let's do 3 more for me. Very nice. 1 more. Fantastic job. That's it. Cool. Can I get a thumbs up, thumbs down? How are we feeling on pushing on the gas and landing on the brake?
Good. It's just a lot to think about.
Yeah, it's a lot of like tips and things, and so we'll just kind of see where we get to at our form-specific stretches, but if we don't get them to all today, that's totally fine. We can still do some flow with some of the other ones I've got in there, okay?
Perfect.
So, next up, we're going to learn a little bit of variation on beats. So, I'm in my nice beast position here. It's kind of hard to do anything from this position because I'm a little tight. So I'm going to go into loaded beast. I'm going to bring my knees out. They're still going to be an inch off the ground here. And I'm going to slide my hands forward. The other option is you can push your feet back and keep your hands in the same spot. I prefer to slide my hands, but that's just up to you. Now, loaded beast, I want you to just go into cobra, just so you can see if your loaded beast is long enough. Because our next move, you're gonna have to end in cobra. So, just a few times, check that loaded beast, knees are off the ground, toes and calves are the only thing on the ground. If you need to put on your knees for the ground so that you can feel nice and stable, that is totally fine. Now, once we're in our loaded beast, we're gonna learn two moves here. So the first one is I'm gonna grip the ground with my fingers, and I'm gonna pull it underneath me. And I'm gonna land with my shoulders over my wrist. You'll notice that my feet have flipped direction, but my knees are still off the ground, my back is round. So loaded beast, you just unload towards the front. Loaded beast, unload. Let's do that 3 times, then we'll learn the second one. Great job, Andrea, that's it. Very nice rounded back. Very nice job. So I want you to stand now and do some wrist relief, just so that you can get a little bit of motion in our feet, because we're going to be on the ground for a lot of this next move. Now, next move in my loaded beast, you're going to recognize it hopefully from Justice classes, but we're going to learn it a little differently. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be a loaded beast, and I'm going to straighten out my knees for downward dog. Then, starting at my hips, I'm going to rotate them in just a smidge. So downward dog, rotate in. Then I'm going to walk down my spine for a nice rolling back. And I'm going to end, goodness gracious, I totally forgot the name of it just now, and I just said it. We're going to end with our eyes to the sky and our back nice and rounded. So again, loaded beast, knees up, and we're going to unload that weight towards our shoulders. It's really important that we unload that weight. We don't start dropping our hips. We want to make sure we keep everything up and rounded as long as we possibly can. And once you feel your shoulders over your wrists, then you can start to drop down. Once we're in this fabulous position here, we're going to tuck our head, push from our shoulders, and fold back up into downward dog, and bring it down into a bear squat, back to loaded beast. We're only going to do 2 of those because they're nice and slow. Think about somebody walking their fingers along your vertebrae so you can really feel that spine movement. And eyes to sky at the end. Great, tuck the chin, push from the shoulders, really use those scapulas to roll you back up. Fantastic job, Andrea. Awesome, and bring it back one more time for me. So Andrea, I have a question for you. Did your feet have to slide backwards when you were rolling into our final position here?
I don't remember. I'll try it again.
Yeah, so that's why we test our loaded beast here, so that when we're rolling, if our feet have to push back, we know our loaded beast was too close, which means it's a big stretch. You really gotta be ready for it. It's okay if they move a little bit, we just don't want it to be more than a few inches.
Yeah, they want to.
Awesome, so when you land that loaded beast, see if you can hold it in that really, really elongated position for a second, and then relax. It should feel a little different from the first time you did that loaded beast, right?
Yeah, I can feel the difference. This carpet's not the best.
Right, you're definitely gonna slide on that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll think about that next time, getting a yoga mat or something.
Right. So
Yeah.
the thing that I would recommend for digging for a loaded beast is I don't have my hands flat, and I have a lot of callus and stuff which helps me grip. But when I'm in my extended loaded beast, my hands are gripped. I'm gripping the ground. My toes are pushing. Basically, I'm creating this opposite push where I'm pushing on my feet and I'm pushing on my hands so I can keep that weight nice and balanced in a longer level. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Awesome. So that's the wave unload. We abbreviate that one with WU. And the loaded beast unload that we did is LBU. Loaded beast unload. All right, so just for time, we're just gonna do one more today, and it's called the 8 reach. This is one of my favorite ones because it's just so nice to do in the morning. So we start in our nice, beautiful deep 8. We're gonna take our arms, and we're gonna put our palms away from each other. I like to interlace my fingers, but if you wanna just put them together, that's fine. And we're gonna reach down, head down, as far as you possibly can. You're gonna feel that stretch on the inside of your legs. Just gonna pull. And then I want you to pause and do some wrist release so you can watch me do this next part because it gets a little bit weird. So I'm going to do this nice pull. Then, when I say open 8 reach, I'm going to take my arms and I'm going to lift them palms to the sky in a straight line. At the same time, my feet are going to lift off on the toes and I'm going to turn myself out into a butterfly. If you are advanced, you can lift off of these quads here and just have that space between your quads and your calves, and this is your open, but this is also an acceptable open position if you want to rest on your heels. If that's a little bit harder for you, you can also do the standing deep 8, which looks like this. We do our deep 8 reach, and open, and reach. Now, if that butterfly is a little hard on your legs when you're in that squat with the toes up, just make sure you're standing up. You don't want to cause any sort of knee or hips. So I'm going to show you the whole move. So 8 reach, and open, 8 reach, and open, just like that. So let's do 2 of those. Then I'll go through and teach the flow. Awesome, so make sure we're ending with our arms parallel, nice and spread out, just like we're accepting the sunrise in our nice 8 reach. All right, so I'm gonna take about 1 more minute break, Andrea, and we're gonna go through and do our flows. I'm gonna teach you how the call out sounds, how we write it, and then we're just gonna do it. About 30 more seconds. Alrighty, so I'm gonna pick us up here. And we're gonna go and look on our flow. I know it's a little long. Oh, and I do need to erase some of these real quick here. All right. So this is gonna be our flow. We're gonna start in beast, then we're gonna slide our hands to loaded beast. I'm gonna see real quick if I can angle this. Give me 1 second here. So, start in beast, go to loaded beast, LB. Then we're gonna do the wave unload. Now this little dash here is called return to, or into. So this just means to go to something. So wave unload to loaded beast. Then we're gonna do a right leg under switch, which means that right leg is gonna travel underneath the body. And we're gonna end in crab. Then we're gonna do a left leg under switch to loaded beast. Then a loaded beast unload to loaded beast. Then we're gonna set 8. So we just kind of slide our hands from crab over to our, from our loaded beast into our 8. Then we're gonna do 8 breach, open it up once, and return to 8 breach. Then we're gonna go back to our 8 from the 8 breach, and we're gonna set crab. So we're just gonna bring our hands behind us. Then we're gonna do right leg under switch to loaded beast, wave unload to loaded beast, then left leg under switch, and right leg under switch to loaded beast. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I know it's a lot to remember, but don't worry, I'm gonna call it out for you. So here's what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna perform the flow, and I'm gonna call it out as I'm performing. Then I want you to watch and just see, okay, where's like the tricky things or things I might forget, and then I'll call out the flow and you will perform, okay? So, first things first. Beast, loaded beast, wave unload, return to loaded beast, right leg under switch to crab, left leg under switch to loaded beast unload, return to loaded beast. Now we're going to slide into our 8. I'm going to reset myself so you can see me, but normally I'm going to stay that same direction. 8 reach, open her up, 8 reach again. Then I'm just going to bring my hands back into my 8, and then I'm going to let them fall back into my crab. Right leg under switch to loaded beast. Wave unload again. Return to loaded beast. Left leg under switch. Right leg under switch. And we end in loaded beast. Any questions or parts of the flow you want me to go over and do again? Alrighty, so I'm gonna stand here so I can call those moves out. So we're gonna start in beast. Loaded beast. Wave unload. And return to loaded beast. So make sure that we're ending with our eyes to the sky in that full extended position. There we go. Tuck the chin and return to loaded beast. Right leg under switch. So right leg, left hand are gonna travel. Right leg goes under the body into crab. Left leg under switch. Left leg travels under the body. Loaded beast. Then we're gonna go loaded beast unload. So pull that ground underneath you. Your legs are gonna stay in the same spot. So I'll demo the loaded beast once more for you. So loaded beast, unload, and return to loaded beast. So loaded beast, unload, Return to loaded beast. Keep those hips up. Now we're gonna go into 8. So you're just gonna slide your hands back and set that deep 8. Fantastic, Andrea. 8 reach for me. And open up. Arms out, parallel. Return to that 8 reach. Feel the nice stretch on the spine and the hips. And now our hands are gonna fall back into our crab position here. Very nice. Right leg under switch to loaded beast. So right leg travels under the body. Yep. And then we're gonna do wave unload again. So remember, hips high to downward dog. Tilt the hips, roll through the spine. Up into our nice, beautiful reaching position and tuck the chin. Push from the shoulders, return to our downward dog into loaded beast. Then we're gonna do a left leg under switch. Right leg under switch. To loaded beast. And that's it. Awesome job, Andrea. So we have time to do one more flow. Would you like to do one more, or do you want to just call it for today?
Yeah, I'll do one more. I'll try that one again.
Awesome. So we'll do it together, and I'll call out the moves so that you can look up and watch me if you get lost, okay?
Sounds good.
And then we'll do one more, just you. So, starting from the beginning, I'm gonna face this direction so you can see me. Beast. Loaded beast. Wave unload. Eyes to sky. Tuck the chin. And roll it back to loaded beast. Right leg under switch to crab. Left leg under switch to loaded beast. Loaded beast are low. Return to loaded beast. Slide into deep 8. 8 reach. Open up. And return to 8 reach. Set 8. Fall into crab. Right leg under switch to loaded beast. Wave unload again. Eyes to sky. Tuck the chin and roll it back to loaded beast. And then we're going to do a left leg under switch and a right leg under switch to loaded beast. Awesome. That feel a little better? Yeah. Awesome. So the only thing I'm going to let you know is that when we do an under switch to loaded beast, so let's say I'm doing left leg under switch to loaded beast, I'm in my crab, and so it's pretty tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push so that I end a little bit longer. Does that make sense?
Wait, will you say that one more time? I lost your voice.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So if I'm doing a left leg under switch to loaded beast, I'm going to kind of push myself away from my hand so that I can kind of land in that loaded beast and skip the beast in the hip. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. You ready to do it solo one more time?
Yes.
All righty. So starting beast. Loaded beast. Wave unload, hips to the sky. Tuck the pelvis, roll through the vertebrae. Eyes to the sky, tuck the chin and return to loaded beast. Right leg under switch to crab. Fantastic. Left leg under switch to loaded beast. So think about pushing back into that beast. Oh, that's beautiful. Loaded beast, unload. Great. Return to loaded beast. Then we're going to slide our hands into 8. 8 reach for me. Put the arms in front, palms away from each other. Open it up, arms straight out. butterflying, and 8. Reach again. Bring the hands back to 8 and set crab for me. Totally. I understand working out at home is a little tricky. All right, right leg under switch to loaded beast. So push yourself back into that loaded beast. Weave, unload again. Hips to the sky. And roll through. Chin up. Yep, tuck the chin. Bring her back. Awesome. And right leg under switch. Left leg under switch to loaded beast. That's it. Fantastic job. Woo!
It's so hard.
I know, it's a lot, isn't it? It seems like not a lot when we do the first half, and then we get to the third one, and it's like, oh, crap.
It's hard. It's good.
Do you have any questions or anything I can answer for you right now?
I'm glad that I came on a Tuesday so I could kind of learn everything. So it's nice.
Yeah, totally. So when I start doing some more of the stuff on Saturdays, it's mostly going to be some under switches, weave, unload, loaded beast, unload, deep 8, because those are things that we can do really easily. And it's going to be a lot more of the traveling forms and the activations, because those are a little bit more intensive on our bodies. So Saturday is going to be like, if you want to get your butt whooped, Saturday's the day to do it.
Yeah, no, it's great because I like having a break from the weights. So this is great.
Totally. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you came. You're my first virtual. So glad to have you.
Appreciate it. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Have a fantastic rest of your night, Andrea. Let me know if you have any questions, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. If your wrists are starting to hurt tomorrow or tonight, just do a few more of the magnetic wrists tonight to really keep them loose. A few more of the wrist rolls.
Okay.
And if you feel some pain, feel free to shoot me a text or anything. If you're just like, this hurts and I don't know what to do about it, just let me know. I've got a lot of things for it. If it starts to feel sore tomorrow, give it some ice, give it some heat, and do the circles on the ground, because those are going to really loosen you up. This is just to keep it nice and loose during the day and nice and activated. And if you really want to just set down and work through those, do the circles on the ground. Okay? Awesome. Well, have a fantastic night.
Thanks, you too.